Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today we're talking about a fanfiction called Little Medium at Large. Details about this fanfiction will be in the description below. This is another fanfiction where Danny gets de-aged and thrown into DC universe. But at this time, instead of being adopted, taken in by Jason, it's Dick this time, right? Jason's not even in the picture yet. They don't even know he's alive. So this is where Dick is, so it's Tim's in the picture. He's Robin, and Dick and Bruce are still very much like on the fence, right? Their relationship is very rocky. And this is where Danny is just a feral, I don't know, 6-year-old. I think that's how old he's supposed to be. Just a feral child going around solving cases. And by solving them, I mean, like, in the beginning, the police officers were just like really annoyed by him because it's like, who is this kid who just shows up in every like crime scene? And it's just like, it's this guy, because like he can see their ghosts, so like he knows, they just don't know that. So like he's right, but they're like, who is this child telling us this information? And the only police officer there that would that he could talk to is like Dick, because Dick, I mean, he looked at the situation, oh, kid on the street being a feral weirdo, how do I handle this? So he's like, so within that first week of meeting, he went to take him in, but obviously he was like, he didn't really want to go in, but it took a little bit of convincing, months of it really. They finally worked it up, and he already had the whole foster license, so he ended up taking Danny in. And this is how they kind of live their days, because he's a police officer and really the only one who listens to Danny about certain cases, the cases they pick up, because again, the ghost will go to Danny because, oh, you can see me. It's like, oh, this person killed me. Here's the weapon, the whatever, blah blah. And it's like, cool. Okay, so this person. And Danny's, I mean, they start to gather evidence, so it's always just like, oh, check behind the painting, do this, that. Right? Here's the murder weapons right there. Right? So this is just how they've been, and it's been like 2-3 weeks since he's taken Danny in, right? Because since he's just, before that, he's just been living on the streets, showing up in any crime scene, right? And Dick didn't want to push it. This is like the animal, okay? You gotta take it one step at a time. And it's been like 2-3 weeks. It's been like 2-3 weeks, right, since he's had him, and it starts like a normal day. He wakes Dick up. You can't have anything nice and normal with a kid. He's like, we gotta take care of like, cause a new ghost came to him. He's like, we gotta take care of our murder, and he's like, oh, a new one already, nice. Like, cause and Dick's like aware of Danny being like a psychic. This is as far as he knows, right? Because it's not like Danny can go around saying the information. Like, I'm from a different, So, but he knows, like, he talks to ghosts. He does, and that's like as far as he's aware of it, right? And they've laid some ground rules, like, for him to tell him, like, if there's a ghost near, tell him. But not even like 3 weeks in, and it's already gotten out. Like, it's on the news, like, oh, just in like Dick Grayson, like, oh, he took in, like, he's following in Bruce's footsteps, and he's like horrified. He's like, how did this get out? And then they kind of mention like oh, we're, because this person wants to stay anonymous, like, from like, it's literally from within the station who told them, who told the people, and it's like, oh, great, so someone with a grudge or whatever, because he's like, god damn it. And Dick's like aware, mostly everyone in that police station is corrupt, okay? Mostly everyone. Their chief, she is in the pockets of like this mafia family, but other than that, though, she's not bad. Like, when it comes to crime and stuff, like, oh, that's very clearly committed by that family, she's gonna like, oh, unsolved or whatever, blame someone else, right? But any other case, she's like, yeah, whatever, just solve it. That like, actually do your job on that one. You solve this one, right? So she's not bad, but it's very clear that everyone's corrupt in that police station. And but it doesn't take long, and then they have to move back to Gotham. And Danny, the weird question is like, we're moving on because he's like kind of aware of it, but not really, right? Because already being on the news and like seeing himself is like, that's not good. Why am I on the news, right? And like for something that's so like so he's not fully understanding the situation, but knows bad enough. It's like, oh, this isn't great. So now they're coming back to Gotham and like, oh, and he placates Danny by like, well, take care of the case. We'll do it remotely, right? So you can be on like call, like on like again video call, and you can do it. But like they can't stay there, right? So they have to go to Gotham, to the manor, and he's not really looking forward to it because again, his relationship not the greatest. Danny also Danny also has he smokes. Oh, I'm sorry. He vapes. All right, it helps medically speaking, which is wild. It really does, like with his ghostliness. So it really does help. But um, I do like how Dick even warns him. It's like, okay, well, you can't really smoke in a mirror, but Alfred, like if you explain to him you need for medical purposes, sure, but Bruce won't care. It's like he'll like shoot like, and it's very clear Dick's kind of saying this from like almost like a like experience. Not that he's ever done drugs, but like the whole like Bruce pokes and prods something, doesn't know when to let go, like that whole thing. And he's like at that point he's not talking from personal experience. And I think it's Danny like a whole. He's like, ugh, he sounds like a dick, and he even says as much as like, ugh, he could suck my dick, and it's like, and Dick even kind of jokingly says like, oh, because I don't know if he expected him to say it, but I don't know what he expected. It's Danny. Where it's like, oh, if you say that to his face, I will literally, it's like, I'll give you like ice cream for the rest of the week. He's like, deal. He doesn't care. Who is this person? Him? No one. He doesn't care. Right? Because the only person at this point really knows is like Dick from months being there. Right? And this is where we get glimpses, like from Danny's point of view, like glimpses of how he got shot here and de-aged and may or not have been vivisected and things didn't go great, basically. So now he's just here in Gotham. But he does miss his home though, but like I have no idea how to return there. And so they do end up meeting, and of course, first thing out of Danny's mouth when seeing Bruce, although I will say, because when they do meet up, right? Alfred knows everything, so really doesn't even, you know. But before Bruce, because he kind of makes like a snide remark, oh, person like adopting Danny, like, oh, you didn't even tell me, basically like a snide kind of like. And he really like Danny doesn't even like him when because he's only ever seen Dick kind of be relaxed and kind of happy. Really, the only time he's ever been tense is like when he's in danger, and that's it. So to see him like this, it's like, oh, what's happening, right? So he already doesn't like didn't already have that great impression from what Dick said in the car. Already has no great impression now. So now he's like, so when he says, "Suck my dick," oh man, it comes from a place of like, this is kind of personal now, but also I want my ice cream, right? It's like and of course Dick scolded him, but also like, I mean, he did what he gets ice cream now, and then immediately it almost divulges because again he makes a snide remark of like, oh, it's fine. He's probably just like he's like shy, like moving around and everything, and it's like and again gets on Dick for not telling him anything, and so before they can even argue further, Alfred's the one to interrupt them. It's like literally not the time to do this like with him in front of you. Tim's coming around the corner. He's like, perfect. Dick is like, oh, this is my little brother Tim. It's like, why don't you um why don't you like show him around because he gets lost easily. Like she refuses, like, no, I don't. He does. And so not that it really works, right? Because Dick and Bruce comes to the office to talk. Really, because Dick's like, "Oh, to interrogate me already? Fine." Danny and Tim don't really go anywhere. Of course not. Um, they eavesdrop they eavesdrop until on the conversation, and it's immediately like an argument. Bruce is mad at Dick for not telling him that, and it's like Dick's like, "You don't trust me," and they go back and forth. And he's like, You can't even support yourself. Were you supporting a kid?" So they kind of go back and forth, kind of until at one point, like he brings up, "Oh, Jason gets brought into conversation," and that's where Tim pulls him out because it's like, "Oh, no, no," because whenever Jason's brought up in the conversation, it never goes anywhere. Like it gets real heated at that point, and he even tells Danny, he's like, "Just don't bring up Jason." And so now Danny is like, maybe Jason's like this criminal contact, and he doesn't like him. It's like maybe that's what it is. I mean, right? So this is where they go back to the library to do some cases, and Danny kind of makes fun of him. It's like, "Oh, what kind of kid? Like are these some kitty cases? Fraud, robbery, what?" And Tim's like, "Multiple homicides. I'm listening." It's like, great. Now you two can just bond over homicide. What is this? And uh, Dick and Bruce, after they finish arguing, they didn't talk about the case because this is when Red Hood kind of just shows up, right? And Bruce wants Tim as far away from as possible. So this is why he's giving him all these cases, like unsolved murders and cold cases. It's like, just have this and stay far away from the Red Hood case, right? And when he eventually, Dick kind of lasts because it's like, it's not gonna last. Tim's a smart kid, right? So it's like, what are you gonna, what are you gonna do after that? And obviously the plan being send him to the Titans because hopefully that'll keep him away from Red Hood and anything. And I just love the meeting between them. But other than that, Tim and Danny having a great old time. In fact, they've bonded splendidly well while Bruce and Dick were just arguing slash talking about the case. He does Dick does tell Bruce though, like, and Alfred, like, he does tell them like Danny doesn't know about their identities or like anything. He's only met Nightwing like once. I was in an alleyway. It's fine, right? So he's only met him once, so he doesn't know that anything about them being vigilantes, and he wants to keep it that way because he doesn't want Danny to kind of turn out like them, which he sees the irony in of like not wanting him to run out there and like a cave and me like solve and all this, right? Because Danny already does this. He already goes after all these cases and everything. That's just Danny himself. So he really doesn't want him to get involved in the nightlife. He just wants him to stay as he is, Danny. And Quinn is kind of spoiled though, because as they have dinner, he sees that he gets in the little booster seat because Danny has to have a booster seat. He's dragging Tim with him, and he makes remark like Tim, because he's learned pretty quickly. Tim's not going to eat unless you force him to, right? He just forgets it, like you need sleep and to eat. I could do it later. No, now. And so he's like he needs to eat, and if he doesn't, then he's not coming to get ice cream with us. He's coming to get ice cream with us, apparently. Like, I don't know. He's just been dragged around, something like that. Because he just comes in, they're holding hands. And so, while Dick is like kind of reminiscent, because he talks about like, oh, Bruce talks to Danny about his interests, like, oh, in the cases, and that he solved. And so he ends up talking about it because he's really excited about it. And Dick kind of reminisces about, Danny, and so he tunes it out, and then he comes back in, and he's talking about like the homicide that they were working on, and he's like, "Wait, what? What? You got those cases? Hold on, what's happening?" And he's like, "Oh yeah," and they couldn't find out. Like Tim told him, "It's like, ooh, was I not supposed to?" I was like, "Oh." So they make the excuse because like he still doesn't know about the nightlife. So it's like, yeah, Bruce is like, yeah, I gotta, I pull some strings, got a hold of it, because Tim's hobby and he really loves it, and not everyone will understand that. So I need you to keep that secret. And he's like, Danny immediately enters. I don't know what mode this would even be in. He's just like, so what you're saying is this needs to be like this is an important thing. It needs to be kept secret. It's like, yes, exactly. It's like, man, I'd be ashamed to just slip down, It's not like he's trying to blackmail him. Are you serious? Dude, but don't worry, it's just for $100. $100. He's like, I'll keep it a secret. Not that he wasn't going to in the first place, but he does because, extortion, he doesn't need to know that. But he pockets the $100 and he's like, oh, I don't need to be told twice, why would I jeopardize like Tim? He's like, he's my first friend that shares the same hobby as me. It's like I'd never jeopardize anything with that. And Tim's touch, he's like, oh, it's like I don't want to lose you either. Because it's like, and to Dick, this is like such a sweet moment. They get along great. Better than he and Jason ever did, really. I mean, ooh, right? So to see them really, I mean, they were literally holding, I mean, he was dragging him, but like before that too, they were holding hands, just walking. So like to see them get along so well, better than what he, could have with Jason is like already a big improvement and already like more than he could ever ask for. After dinner, Danny has his little ghost senses going off, right? So he's alone, he's wandering the mansion. He's trying to follow where he's absolutely lost. He's trying to follow where, like, he feels that the ghost is, but because he's lost, it's a big ass mansion, no idea where he's going. But he ends up in the office, right, where the big ass grandfather clock is, going right to the cave. So he ends up there. He in that office, and this is where he meets this is where he meets the ghost in the office, right? It's spoiler because she's dead. Yay! So this is where he meets her. At first, she's like, "Wow, you're like the thieves get little like every day," and then like she's surprised, kind of like every other ghost when they first see Danny. It's like, "Oh my god, you can see me!" And Danny is like sick to his stomach because it's like, "Oh god, this is like a hero, right?" And they died. Like she's a teenager, she's dead, and he can't stand to really look at her. Like he doesn't outright say it, but he's like, could be, he's short with her, doesn't say anything, and he really goes to the computer. And he starts looking up Bruce Wayne, right? And she's trying to like talk to Danny and get information. Like, oh wow, like are you like she's like assuming he Bruce's kid, like oh Ward or another person he adopted, and he's refusing this, right? Because he's like, no, I'm not. And he like till eventually says like that he's Dick's kid, right? That Dick is the one that adopted him. And admittedly, like it's been a while now, right? Since he's had like I would say even before he starts staying with Dick, like the relationship between them, he's grown fond of Dick, right? And Dick was like immediately like on the first contact of like meeting him was like, I need to adopt a child. So their bond there is pretty strong, right? And so he's like looking up Bruce Wayne. He's just like, oh, he doesn't. And then he, while also asking questions to her, like, oh, like the basic questions like, do you need help, right? 'Cause that's his whole thing, passing people on. He's like, sometimes, other times I just con people, which I mean, okay, sure, not everyone comes back, and not everyone's entitled to whatever, sure. But then here's Dick coming, right? Superhearing, fantastic. And so that's where he instantly is like, he looks up Ice Cream Brothers. I mean, he's still going, so like, it also looks up, needs to. And that's where Dick, they have like a bit of back and forth of like, well, you actually want to go to Ice Cream Brothers, like, and bring Tim along, because like, Tim, like Danny can see like Tim's lonely and like no one wants to voluntarily hang out with like a, I don't remember how old he is, 6, 8, something like that. Like no one voluntarily hangs out with an 8-year-old. Like you should have other friends as a teenager. So he's like he's lonely. Just take him with us. He's so cheap that you can't buy ice cream for your brother. And as he's like as he's like teasing him, Stephanie pushes Joyce in. But of course, Dick can't hear or see, like no one can, right? Can't hear or see spoiler at all, right? And so to him, it's like a one-sided thing of like, what is Danny like? Because he's like, they're bouncing off of each other while teasing Dick, but because he can't hear her, he can only hear Danny's side. It sounds weird, and so that's where he's like, stop. It's like, hold on. It's like, is there a ghost in here? It's like, we had a deal. It's like, the rules. And the rules is because after a really bad, he was dealing with, no, not a phantom. Well, maybe. I don't remember. He was dealing with one, right? Like a really, it's nothing he hasn't done with before. He's dealt with fighting ghosts, except, you know, he wasn't like 8, stuck in the body of an 8-year-old. So they made a deal because they both got scars from it too, right? Glass shattering everywhere. And they both have, like, Dick has one of them, scars like on his back. So they have matching scars. So because of that, Dick made, him promise, like, you tell me there's a ghost in the room. And because it's like, I can't protect you otherwise. And this is where it's like, yeah, I mean, he doesn't say who it is at all. I mean, at this point, it's not like he really knows who she is either. So it doesn't really matter, but still, it's like, oh, she's fine. And like, so at this point, he's not aware of anything like that. They're connected. And so that's when we move on. Now they're solving the woman that they didn't get to that morning, the woman's case, and how he's talking to the people through the video call, and he's like, "You're an idiot, Conan." Just he's like, it's like it wasn't a robbery gone wrong. Her wallet is gone doesn't mean anything. It's like, did you look at the safe behind the painting? It's like, of course, the safe behind the painting. Are you stupid? And it's like, Jesus Christ. And Dick's just watching on because it's clear like he's talking to the ghost, right, through the computer. And Dick, this is like, it's a nice old woman, so it's fine. But like he can't help but kind of frown because it's like the general rule of like he can't supervise the conversation, right? No parent likes that they can't supervise their conversation with an adult because yeah, it's a ghost and this one's nice, but not every ghost. Everyone dies. Not everyone's great. I mean, he's aware that like, okay, not every like one gets to like stick around, but it still is like, again, previous experience, not all of them are great. So he does find it like concerning and like frustrating that he can't supervise like any conversation that Danny has with a ghost because he can't see or hear them at all. And this is where Bruce comes in. He, even says like, "Oh, Dame's looking. He's on the computer in the little room." It's like, yeah, he's looking at my fathers. He looked me up. I mean, Dick's like, you're reading too much into it. I'd never mentioned it before, right? It's like, it's not like that computer is important anyway because it's a decoy, so it really doesn't matter. But Bruce looks on as Danny is like insisting to people like as on the call, like it's this person, like it's not the landlord, it's not whoever, it's the son-in-law, it's him. He's the one who killed her, and he's very insistent on like what to suspect. And it's like it can be very concerning. It's like Dick is like he's never wrong, and he hasn't told any of them about Danny being psychic, right? About seeing ghosts and talking. He hasn't told any of them about it at all, and he hasn't really planned to. He doesn't really want to, right? It's just that protectiveness of like, this is my, and doing it on his own. So it's like a little bit of like almost pride there too. After that, they finally go to get ice cream. Except they're not really going to get ice cream. I mean, they are, but like it's more like a bonus to Danny, right? Spoiler, joins in the car. Dick kind of, because he sees, because she's just chanting ice cream over and over again, and Danny's getting annoyed. It's like, oh my god, shut up. She's being like annoying in general, right? It's like an annoying sibling. Like, I'm not touching you. I'm not. It's like that, and like they can see like in like the mirror, right? Because Tim's sitting up front with him. You can see in the mirror. He's like, ooh. It's like, you okay? Like clearly, kind of like trying to talk about it without Tim, setting off with him. It's like, yeah, I just brought a tag along. It's like, oh god. So he's like concerned because like, is this violent? Is this? It's like, it's fine. It's just she's annoying, and that's it. So finally, stop ice cream. Dick's like, okay, I'll get the ice cream, then we can have it in the car, right? Because don't want the paparazzi to come, around them. So he asks for flares, and then he bounces. And then immediately afterwards, so do Danny and Tim into the alley. Book it immediately. He's gone. The second he's gone into the alley. Because the reason they're going there is because he had picked another case. Someone was murdered there. And so that's the reason that he's going there in the first place. And Tim has no idea what's going on, right? Spoiler kind of does. I mean, even though your ghost doesn't automatically mean you know what's going on, right? But so they're seeing the victim, they're stuck in a loop. And it's like, and so Danny had to like force this, right? Because they weren't very strong, didn't have enough ectoplasm. So he had to force this to kind of play out. And at first he thought, okay, I could have a ghost to talk to. Instead gets loop. Fantastic. And so he's watching, and a loop is like when the ghost is stuck in a loop, they're reliving their death over and over again. Very tragic. So it's just this dude, he has a bag, clearly something in it, he's about to sell it, and then someone walks up behind him. They can't see who that person is, they can only see him and his reactions and everything. So they see it play out of him being murdered and basically ripped apart like an animal's attacking. But they do know it was a woman doing it. And they see the claws being raked over. It's like, that's why it's like an animal took him over, right? But he ends up dropping his phone and goes behind the dumpster. And after, he lets the loop fade, and that took a lot out of Danny. So he's like staggering as he, and Tim didn't see anybody. He knows something was happening, something that he couldn't see clearly, because then even like, because Danny is like partially collapsing at this point, right? But he brushes it off and goes to the dumpster. He's like, okay, this is the victim's phone. The murderer clearly has the bag. It was a woman. Like, that's all he gets up before he immediately passes out because he used too much energy. Dick sees him coming out of the alleyway. He's like, oh my god. Because like, he should have known. And Tim's like apologizing to him. It's like, it's fine. Really, no one can stop Danny once he puts his mind to it. Like, it's not happening, right? So it's fine. And this is where Tim puts it together, right? Because of course Tim would. He's very smart. So it's like he reacted to something, and he's like constantly like there, like also in the car, like he's reacting to something that not like that he can't see, like he's talking to someone, like he's responding. So he's like, is he speaking to the dead? And that's where he turns like, yes. He doesn't speak much about it because it's not his secret to reveal, but I say yes. Danny speaks to the dead, right? And this is where we do feel like it's kind of sad too, as he like tucks Danny in, because they get home, he tucks Danny in, as like Tim kind of wants more instead of him. He's like, it's not my secret reveal, but he's aware of some things. Like Danny didn't want to completely tell him about, he doesn't want to tell him about certain things. Like the loop, he was very cagey about, didn't want to tell him about. He didn't want to tell him about certain things, right? And this is where, he tells him about certain things, like how ghosts form, how strong they be, whatever, right? And it kind of leads him down a path of like, how come there are no ghosts, like for Dick, it's like, how come there are no ghosts following me? Like, how come, like, like not my mom, not my dad, like Jason's like, oh, what, did they not love me? Like anything? It's like, what about Jason? And it's like, oh, but like, like every bat, just stick that in a little box and we'll never touch it again. We'll never touch those feelings. The thing Dick has thought about too, about asking Danny about Jason, but he never did because he figured, he didn't want to push, and he figured that Danny would say something if a ghost just came up claiming to be Dick's brother. So he never said anything, and he doesn't really push the whole thing in general anyway. Because I mean, and he's not wrong, but um, because again, he's a medium, right? And he knows that you're seeing the dead and you're going to talk to them. They had to have like a near death experience, and so for that, like a child, like for like an 8-year-old, it's like he doesn't want to push that, so he's just never asked up front about that. So while he lays Dick down and they're there, he to get his mind off it goes out his nightly Leproux, so they go on patrol. So while they're out there, Danny finally wakes up. He feels like crap. Spoiler's also there. Of course she is. I mean, where else are you gonna go, right? And Tim's there because he didn't leave, right? He was there the entire time, sitting there waiting for Danny to wake up. Fell asleep doing it too, till he's rudely awakened by Danny just casually tipping the chair over with him in it. And so this is where Tim. I don't know. Grill is the right word. What do you just like saying? It's like because he pieced it together. Okay, he pieced it together. It's like he's like he's saying as much as like you're talking people like that aren't like that I can't see it's dead, and Danny's like kind of nervous because like it's not like he's ever really it's like, ooh, what do we do, right? And this is where we also learn because like what do I say, like I can't just say like I'm from another dimension, what do you like, right? Like his entire backstory. But this is where we also learn that he can't really use all his powers, and the reason being like why he's kind of like de-aged too, and why he can't, because the only thing you do is just like he's stuck like this. He's stuck as like Danny, right? And the reason is because his core is cracked. So he clearly during this section something went wrong, right? His friends are dead. Fantastic. Um so but he's just very casual about like I see dead people. There you go, right? And you know how Dick kind of covers for him by saying like, oh, he's psychic or he's whatever, right? Just other than like he's a meta, right? And Tim's like, yeah, makes sense, especially when the rise of like meta trafficking clearly says you were a victim of that. He's like, whoa, who said that? What are you talking about? It's like, and then he looks like Danny looks down, realizes his clothes been changed, and he's like, that means that he saw the scars and like the very clear Y scar that's on him, and he's pissed about it. Obviously, he's upset because it's like, and he feels like because he didn't want anyone to see that. Dick doesn't even know that, right? He's very careful with it, and he's like, I can't believe, So they're going back and forth. It's like Alfred's the one that undressed him, and because he was dirty, and it's like you could have like got an infection, like anything, right? And so it's like, but Alfred said like he's fine. I mean, it's not infected, but the trauma is not. But Tim Preston was like, how come like Dick doesn't know? It's like he could help you, like he could bring you justice, and that's where Danny snaps. They're dead because of course they are. They didn't make her. It's like they're dead, and this is where you find out his power slashed out. So he like didn't even really mean to kill them, and he does feel really guilty about it. Like he didn't mean to. And Tim sees this, and like from again his point of view, not that it really changes much, but again from his point of view, this is an 8-year-old that had his powers lash out and accidentally kill. You know, I mean, the age really doesn't change thing, but still, like to him, this is like a child that's very guilty of it. And it wasn't his fault. So they hugs him, comforts him, like it was his fault, and they make a promise. He's like, "Don't tell Dick." So now he's sworn, and now they got that out of the way. It's like, but you can see ghosts. It's like Danny immediately knows what they're doing. He's like, absolutely not, we're not doing that. It's like, come on. It's like, there's a case, so it's just the other, like, it's like, it's like, it's just not that far away. Let's go. It's like, they already cleaned up the crime scene. Like, there's bound to be a ghost there, right? It's like, I mean, how long did it take this form? And that's where he's like how strong they are, or whatever, right? And that's where they talk about the ghost, like, in the alley, that Robert guy that's dead. It's like, oh, he's very weak because he had to put more ectoplasm into it so he could even get a loop, right? Which is not what he wanted in the first place, but still, like, so he clearly couldn't have been like that old, maybe like a few weeks. So Tim says like, that happened like a few days ago, right? But to even get a loop, it's like you shouldn't have even like formed or anything, right? So it's like I you should like have been like he clearly didn't have like enough ectoplasm. It's like so something was wrong. Like he didn't have enough ectoplasm. This is where I mean I don't want to say commit. Just like he convinces Danny. Not much convincing going on. Let's be real here. But they end up going. They're like, all right, let's sneak out and go to and go to the crime scene and talk to some ghosts. Do some investigation work. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!